December 12, 2025. Chase Infiniti is alone in her apartment when the phone rings. It's the official confirmation. She's been nominated for the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Comedy Musical. Her first career nomination, her first leading role, a $4 million independent film competing against $80 million productions. Chase hangs up. She doesn't cry. She doesn't celebrate. She locks herself in the bathroom and nearly vomits. This isn't imposter syndrome, it's muscle memory. 3 years earlier, a casting director had dismissed her in 7 minutes, saying she felt too much for comedy. 2 years earlier, Chase had been voicing podcasts for $200 an episode, questioning whether she should give up. 8 months earlier, One Battle After Another had almost been canceled in its 3rd week of filming because the money ran out. And now Chase is up for a Golden Globe, alongside actresses she used to watch on TV while working as an anonymous voice actor. The industry that had rejected her for not fitting the profile is now nominating her for one of the year's most prestigious awards. But there's a truth no article celebrating her nomination mentions. Chase Infiniti shouldn't be there. Statistically, it was impossible. Financially, it was unfeasible. Emotionally, it cost more than any award could ever repay. So how did an actress with no connections, no major studio, no millionaire agent accomplish the impossible? And why, at the very moment she had finally achieved it all, did she feel like she was losing something far greater? Chase Infiniti didn't grow up in Los Angeles. She had no family connections in the industry. She didn't attend prestigious drama schools. What she did have was a painfully acute perception from a very early age. She understood emotions that the people around her pretended not to feel. At 9, Chase realized she could read tension in a room, heavy silences at family dinners, forced smiles from teachers, the difference between what adults said and what they truly felt. This ability didn't make her popular, it made her isolated. Children who see too much are rarely invited to birthday parties. She began acting not for glamour, but out of emotional necessity. Playing characters was the only way to process internal chaos without being judged. On school stages, Chase could be furious, vulnerable, contradictory. She could explode, she could cry, and for a few hours, no one called her too intense or complicated. This pattern would repeat years later when Chase would face the exact same accusations, but this time from casting directors who thought she felt too much for comedy. Her first major professional no came at 19. Chase was rejected at an audition for a soda commercial because, according to the casting director, she took the script too seriously. The script had 3 lines. Chase had prepared a full backstory for the character. She studied the motivation behind every word. She arrived with specific choices for body language. She was dismissed in 7 minutes. Years later, this same emotional unpreparedness for the superficiality of the industry would become her greatest advantage. But at the time, Chase began to believe something dangerous. Maybe she simply wasn't made for this. Chase's big break didn't come through a powerful agent. It didn't come from a traditional casting call. It came from a misunderstanding. In 2023, Chase was doing occasional work as a voice actor for narrative podcasts. She earned enough to pay rent, but not enough to consider it a career. It was during one of these recordings that she met Lena Hartman, an independent producer developing One Battle After Another. Lena heard Chase perform an emotional outburst scene for the podcast. She called the studio and asked to speak to the lead actress of the production. There was confusion. Chase wasn't the lead actress of anything. She was just a freelance voice actor. But Lena insisted on a meeting. The One Battle After Another script had been circulating in Hollywood for 3 years without finding a studio willing to make it. The problem? The protagonist was a woman in her early 30s fighting a labor lawsuit while dealing with post-divorce emotional collapse. Comedy? Yes, but uncomfortable comedy, anchored in real pain. Studios wanted something lighter, something less complicated. Chase read the script and understood every comma. She understood why no one wanted to make this film, and that was exactly why she needed to do it. Lena offered her the role. There was no elaborate audition, no competition with other actresses. There was only a 2-hour conversation in a cafe where Chase and Lena discussed failed relationships, emotional exhaustion, and the feeling of constantly proving your worth to people who will never recognize it. When Chase accepted, she earned $47,000 for the role, less than what commercials pay for 3 days. But for the first time, someone trusted her to carry an entire story. This moment felt like a victory, but it was exactly here that the real challenges began. One Battle After Another began filming with a $4.2 million budget. For Hollywood, that's pocket change. For a women-led independent production, it was a fragile financial miracle. One mistake could end it all. Chase wasn't prepared for the intensity, not physically. She trained, studied, and rehearsed obsessively, but emotionally, portraying a woman in collapse 5 days a week starts to blur the lines between fiction and reality. Courtroom confrontation scenes required real tears. Solitude scenes demanded raw vulnerability. Chase gave everything and went home empty. In the first 3 weeks of filming, she lost 9 pounds. She slept less than 5 hours a night. She declined social invitations because she needed to stay inside the character. The director, Martin Cho, called her in for a conversation and said something Chase would never forget. "You're going to kill this character, and you're going to kill yourself too. You need to learn how to leave the set." On the outside, Chase was delivering the performance of her life. Behind the scenes, she was losing track of where the character ended and she began. During the filming of a crucial scene, the moment when Chase's character finally confronts her ex-husband about years of emotional gaslighting, something broke. The scene was working perfectly. Chase was flawless, but between takes, she began to cry uncontrollably, not as the character, as Chase. Production stopped for 2 hours. Martin offered to postpone the scene. Chase refused. She needed to finish it. She needed to purge that pain once and for all. They filmed 4 more takes. Chase used every ounce of control she had left to separate what was hers from what belonged to the character. When Martin shouted "cut" for the final time, Chase left the set, locked herself in the bathroom, and stayed there for 40 minutes. No one noticed the signs of what was coming next, or rather, no one wanted to notice. Filming wrapped in November 2024. Chase returned home thinking she could finally rest, but the body doesn't forget, the mind doesn't shut down. She spent 3 weeks unable to watch anything on TV because any dramatic scene made her break out in a cold sweat. She stopped answering calls, canceled appointments. Her friends thought it was post-production exhaustion. It was something deeper. Chase had given so much of herself to that character that she no longer knew how to be herself without a script in hand. The breaking point came in January 2025 during the film's private premiere. Chase watched One Battle After Another from start to finish for the first time, and she realized something devastating. She was good, really good, but if the film failed, if no one watched it, if critics tore it apart, she wouldn't have the strength to try again. After the screening, Lena asked what she thought. Chase lied. She said she was happy, that she was proud, that she couldn't wait for the public release. The truth? Chase was terrified, because for the first time in her life, she had something to lose. The release came in March 2025. No major marketing campaign, no red carpet premiere. One Battle After Another was released on digital platforms and in 200 select theaters. The initial numbers were modest, $1.8 million in the first week. Chase didn't follow the reception. She turned off notifications, avoided social media, refused interviews. When Lena called to say critics were praising her performance, Chase thanked her and hung up. She simply couldn't process it. Many believed Chase's career would end there, quietly, without scandal, just fading into obscurity. For a moment, she almost believed it too. Chase didn't reinvent herself. She did something rarer, silent resistance. While One Battle After Another circulated quietly, Chase returned to voice work. She took 2 small roles in independent series.
She didn't speak publicly about the film, didn't campaign for awards, didn't hire a PR team. She simply continued. The industry interpreted this as defeat. Agents stopped calling, audition invitations dwindled. Chase had just starred in a feature film, yet the market treated her as if she had disappeared. What no one knew, Chase was doing exactly what she wanted. She had learned something during the post-OneBattleAfterAnother collapse. The industry charges a high price for anyone who delivers real vulnerability. You expose yourself, empty yourself, break yourself on screen, and then you're expected to smile in interviews, thank opportunities, play the PR game. Chase decided she wouldn't do it, not for money, not for career promises. That decision would cost her dearly, but Chase was willing to lose everything. In June 2025, something unexpected happened. One Battle After Another began to gain organic traction, not through marketing, but through word of mouth. Women between 30 and 45 started sharing the film in private groups. Spontaneous reviews appeared on blogs, podcasts, and video analyses. Chase's performance was repeatedly described with the same word, honest. The numbers grew slowly but consistently. By August, the film had been seen by over 12 million people worldwide. By September, it reached the top 10 on streaming platforms in 6 countries. Chase didn't change her approach. She didn't start doing interviews, didn't hire PR. She continued voicing podcasts, continued living her life out of the spotlight. And paradoxically, this fueled even more interest. People wanted to know who the actress was who delivered that devastating performance and then simply disappeared. The industry doesn't forgive easily those who refuse the game, but something bigger was happening. Chase was proving it's possible to build a career without asking permission. In November 2025, Chase received a call. It was from the Golden Globe office. They wanted to confirm her information for the official nominees list. Chase thought it was spam, almost hung up, but Lena had submitted the film for consideration months earlier, and now, against all odds, One Battle After Another was among the finalists. Chase didn't celebrate. She sat in her one-bedroom apartment and stayed silent for an hour. Then she called her mother and said only, "I think I did it."
But success didn't resolve what had always haunted her. On December 12, 2025, Chase Infiniti was officially nominated for the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Comedy Musical. Alongside her in the category, actresses with decades of experience, multiple awards, and powerful studios funding million-dollar campaigns. Chase had none of that. She had a nomination. She had $47,000 for the role. She had a film that almost no one had believed in. And she had the unsettling feeling that none of it was real. The media response was complicated. Some outlets celebrated the nomination as a win for independent cinema. Others questioned whether Chase had enough experience to be in that category. Gossip columnists speculated about invisible connections that might have secured the nomination. The subliminal message was clear: Chase shouldn't be there. And maybe that was exactly why she deserved to be. Chase agreed to do exactly 3 interviews after the nomination. In each, she was asked how it felt to be among the greats. In each, she answered with some variation of, "I just wanted to do a good job. The rest isn't up to me." Journalists interpreted this as calculated modesty. It wasn't. It was a genuine inability to process external validation as a measure of worth. Chase had spent years being rejected for feeling too much. Now she was being recognized precisely for that. The contradiction was maddening. During the pre-Golden Globe events, Chase did something unusual. She didn't circulate. She didn't network. She didn't try to impress anyone. When other nominees delivered elaborate speeches about the honor of being there, Chase thanked people briefly and stayed silent. Some read it as arrogance, others as insecurity. Few understood what it truly was: exhaustion from pretending that awards mattered more than the work itself. But there was one thing Chase couldn't hide: the fear that if she won, everything would change, and if she lost, nothing would.
The Golden Globe ceremony would happen. Chase would be there, among the nominees. She might win, she might not. But something had already changed irreversibly. Chase Infiniti was sitting in a room where years earlier, no one had believed she belonged, and she had gotten there without asking for permission, without molding herself, without pretending to be someone she wasn't. The nomination alone had rewritten her narrative. The industry that rejected her for feeling too much was forced to recognize that maybe, just maybe, feeling was exactly what had been missing. In a recent interview, Chase said something that sums up her entire journey. "I've already won. The moment I was able to make the film I wanted to make, the way I believed it should be made, everything after that is consequence, not definition." But recognition didn't resolve what had always haunted her, the feeling that she still needed to prove she belonged where she was. And perhaps that feeling would never completely disappear. Perhaps it was exactly what kept her real. Chase Infiniti today lives in a rented apartment. She hasn't bought a mansion. She hasn't hired a team of publicists. She continues voicing podcasts when she needs money. The Golden Globe nomination opened doors. She received offers from major studios, franchise proposals, invitations to films with budgets 100 times larger than One Battle After Another. She declined almost all of them. The only offer Chase accepted was for an independent drama about a teacher dealing with grief. Low budget, quiet production, exactly the type of project Hollywood agents tell you to avoid after a major nomination. Chase didn't care. She had learned something few in the industry understand. Success that requires you to stop being yourself isn't success, it's performance. What changed? Chase has credibility. What hasn't? She still doesn't need the approval of those who never believed in her. In a recent interview, Chase was asked about her method for choosing roles. She replied, "I only accept characters I could recognize if I met them on the street. If I can't imagine this person buying bread or crying alone at home, it's not real. And if it's not real, I'm not interested." That answer annoyed producers, it thrilled young actresses, and it confirmed what everyone already knew. Chase Infiniti will not mold herself to fit the industry's expectations. She's recently begun writing, not scripts, journals, about the process of acting, about the emotional cost of delivering public vulnerability, about the difference between being seen and being understood. There are no plans to publish, it's just for her, a way to process, a way to survive. Perhaps her greatest victory wasn't the nomination. Chase Infiniti didn't break barriers spectacularly. She didn't give revolutionary speeches. She didn't lead movements. She simply refused to disappear when told she should. One Battle After Another wasn't just a film title. It was a literal description of Chase's career, a sequence of silent confrontations against an industry that values the image of talent more than talent itself. She fought to get the role, fought to survive emotionally during filming, fought against obscurity after the release, fought for her own mental sanity when recognition finally arrived. And the battle continues. Because awards end, nominations are forgotten, but the choice to remain authentic in a space that profits from falsehood, that is a daily fight. When asked what she would say to her 19-year-old self, the one rejected at a soda commercial audition for feeling too much, she answered, "I'd tell her she was right, that feeling too much isn't a flaw, that one day someone will need exactly that, and that the wait will hurt, but it will be worth it." Chase Infiniti's career is proof that you don't need to conquer Hollywood to win. Sometimes victory is simply refusing to be conquered. Perhaps Chase's true first great battle wasn't winning the Golden Globe nomination. Perhaps it was believing, against all evidence, that she deserved to be in the room where decisions are made. And perhaps her greatest achievement is the fact that today, Chase no longer needs that room because she's building her own. Chase Infiniti has proven that you can break the rules without causing a scandal. You can succeed without a trophy. You can be recognized without ever stopping being yourself. And if you think this story ends here, you haven't understood a thing. Because for Chase, the next battle has already begun. If you believe that real talent always finds its way, even when no one is opening doors, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Stories like Chase's need to be told, and you've just heard one of them.